Chapter 36. And Bezalel and Oholiab shall work, and every wise-hearted man, in whom Jehovah hath put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all the work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that Jehovah hath commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Oholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whose heart Jehovah had put wisdom, even every one whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. And they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, wherewith to make it. And they brought yet unto him freewill offerings every morning. And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they wrought. And they spake unto Moses, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Jehovah commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. And all the wise-hearted men among them that wrought the work made the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, with cherubim, the work of the skillful workman. Bezalel made them. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of each curtain 4 cubits. All the curtains had one measure. And he coupled 5 curtains one to another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one to another. And he made loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain, from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise he made in the edge of the curtain that was outmost in the second coupling. 50 loops made he in the one curtain, and 50 loops made he in the edge of the curtain that was in the second coupling. The loops were opposite one to another. And he made 50 clasps of gold, and coupled the curtains one to another with the clasps. So the tabernacle was one. And he made curtains of goat's hair for a tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits the breadth of each curtain. The 11 curtains had one measure. And he coupled 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops made he upon the edge of the curtain which was outmost in the second coupling. And he made 50 clasps of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent of rams' skins dyed red, and a covering of seal skins above. And he made the boards for the tabernacle of acacia wood, standing up. 10 cubits was the length of a board, and 1.5 cubits the breadth of each board. Each board had 2 tenons, joined one to another. Thus did he make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward, and he made 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, he made 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the hinder part of the tabernacle westward he made 6 boards, and 2 boards made he for the corners of the tabernacle in the hinder part. And they were double beneath, and in like manner they were entire unto the top thereof, unto one ring. Thus he did to both of them in the 2 corners. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, under every board 2 sockets. And he made bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the hinder part westward. And he made the middle bar to pass through in the midst of the boards from the one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and made their rings of gold for places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made the veil of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen, with cherubim, the work of the skillful workmen made he it. And he made thereunto 4 pillars of acacia, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold, and he cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made a screen for the door of the tent, of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen, the work of the embroiderer, and the 5 pillars of it with their hooks, and he overlaid their capitals and their fillets with gold, and their 5 sockets were of brass. End of chapter 36. Chapter 37. And Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and a cubit and a half the breadth of it, and a cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold within and without, and made a crown of gold to it round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold in the 4 feet thereof, even 2 rings on the one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. And he made staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the ark, to bear the ark. And he made a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubim of gold, of beaten work made he them, at the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub at the one end, and 1 cherub at the other end. Of one piece with the mercy seat made he the cherubim at the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubim spread out their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, with their faces one to another. Toward the mercy seat were the faces of the cherubim. And he made the table of acacia wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereto a crown of gold round about. And he made unto it a border of a handbreadth round about, and made a golden crown to the border thereof round about. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that were on the 4 feet thereof. Close by the border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, the dishes thereof, and the spoons thereof, and the bowls thereof, and the flagons thereof, wherewith to pour out, of pure gold. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work made he the candlestick, even its base and its shaft. Its cups, its knops, and its flowers were of one piece with it. And there were 6 branches going out of the sides thereof, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 cups made like almond blossoms in one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 cups made like almond blossoms in the other branch, a knop and a flower. So for the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 cups made like almond blossoms, the knops thereof, and the flowers thereof, and a knop under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a knop under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a knop under 2 branches of one piece with it, for the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were of one piece with it. The whole of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made the lamps thereof 7, and the snuffers thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof, of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the altar of incense of acacia wood. A cubit was the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, 80. And 2 cubits was the height thereof. The horns thereof were of one piece with it. And he overlaid it with pure gold, the top thereof, and the sides thereof round about, and the horns of it. And he made unto it a crown of gold round about. And he made for it 2 golden rings under the crown thereof, upon the 2 ribs thereof, upon the 2 sides of it, for places for staves wherewith to bear it. And he made the staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil, and the pure incense of sweet spices, after the art of the perfumer. End of chapter 37. Chapter 38. And he made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof, 80. And 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof upon the 4 corners of it. The horns thereof were of one piece with it. And he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, the flesh hooks, and the firepans. All the vessels thereof made he of brass. And he made for the altar a grating of network of brass, under the ledge round it beneath, reaching halfway up. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grating of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar, wherewith to bear it. He made it hollow with planks. And he made the laver of brass, and the base thereof of brass, of the mirrors of the ministering women that ministered at the door of the tent of meeting. And he made the court. For the south side southward, the hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side 100 cubits. Their pillars 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastward 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And so for the other side. On this hand and that hand by the gate of the court were hangings of 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals of silver. And all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the screen for the gate of the court was the work of the embroiderer, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets 4, of brass, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle and of the court round about were of brass. This is the sum of the things for the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of the testimony, as they were counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar the son of Aaron the priest. And Bezalel the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that Jehovah commanded Moses. And with him was Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a skillful workman, and an embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet and in fine linen. All the gold that was used for the work in all the work of the sanctuary, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,760 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. A bekah a head, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that passed over to them that were numbered, from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. And the 100 talents of silver were for casting the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets for the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their capitals, and made fillets for them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets to the door of the tent of meeting, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grating for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the gate of the court, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. End of chapter 38.